On Saturdays and Sundays, check every inch of the web to find the latest episodes. The boys are everywhere, and no matter what anyone may try, they are here to stay. If the name hasn't warned you yet, then consider this as your viewer discretion advised. No one can restrain these two idiots, so here they come unleashed upon the world, only to become as insane as reality itself.
And it certainly is guaranteed to get crazy with these idiots on board.
Oh, yeah.
Heyo! Heyo! Happy 2023, everybody.
Right?
Yeah. And we're joined tonight, guys, with Iron City Paranormal and their new crewman, Jack. There, you know. I tried to get away with his lovely scenery in the background. That's really good, that way.
Yeah, just ignore the folding chair that's peeking through the, you know.
That's all right. I've got a squeaky chair. I've got like Captain Kirk's
There you
squeaky
go, yeah.
chair. It's terrible. It's got a squeak.
I've lived my whole life with that. Usually that means you're exceeding the weight limit of the chair, and it's
As I think there's a warning.
Yeah, I know. It's like I got a chair with a 350-pound weight limit, and I already broke it. It's like, God damn it!
I wouldn't like to be in a jet fighter, you know, the ejection seat. I don't think it would work.
No, it would just laugh. It would sound like a whoopee cushion when it went off.
Oh, God, yeah, exactly. So we'll give it a couple of minutes for it to fill up a wee bit, but it's really good having you guys back again. I mean, I've been watching your progress on Facebook and your little posts and that now and again that you do. I mean, you've been going to some amazing places, I find, you know. So how are you, Dan? How are you, Dan? How are you, Derek? Jack?
We're doing great.
Busy.
Our joint families has increased by 2 children since we last talked to you guys.
Oh, no.
My wife and I had our first, and Derek and his wife had their second. So we have more people that once our wives let us take our babies with us ghost hunting, we'll have some bait if nothing else, right?
A 3-year-old's close to coming, so you know.
You never know.
Terrible. Oh God, take them. Oh dear Jesus, I just don't know. I really don't take them. That's terrible. I mean,
I was 3 when stuff started happening around me. So it may work.
I was about 6 or 7 when it started happening with me. I was about 6 or 7 when it started happening to me. Jack, the new guy, when did it start happening for you?
Well, I guess my personal paranormal experiences have mostly been through like dream stuff, which sounds immediately like, oh, I'm not sure. But I did have an instance of basically having a dream about a situation involving 2 of my close friends at the time. I tell them about it. I would say it was 3 months before it happened. And I told them, this is the conversation. This is what you said. This is what you said. This is what I said. This is where we were. This is what we were doing. This is how it all went down. So when I come to you in a couple months and I'm like, hey, this is that thing that happened I told you about, you know, remember I told you ahead of time so that when you try to tell me it's just deja vu, I can tell you to eat my ass. So from there, you know, needless to say that happened, and I have some other things. But as far as like, you know, witnessing apparitions or I've probably seen something strange in the night sky that because I am not educated well, would say I've attributed to just something that is explainable, but I just don't know.
But 2020s, man, we can't tell for sure.
Oh, and that's it. That's exactly the point. You know,
we won't know until the United States shoots it down. Once they shoot it down, we can go dissect.
Well, it's not a balloon, so it's safe.
It's with these things. It's these extraterrestrials that's risen as the new. I mean, they travel across billions of miles across the outer depths of space to come to the Earth and then be shot down by a missile.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's doubtful. Well, and you see enough of this footage, and you're like, how does anything? If what they're telling us that we have is what we really have, how are we even able to interact with any of it? Because from what we've seen, it's beyond a lot of what we think.
Oh, we have got a lot of technology, and Dakota can say this. We have got technology that we've found, like, you know, but they'll know use it. They'll know use it now.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, and I've heard it before, like the military technology is 15 years ahead of the public knowledge or something to that effect?
Minimal.
Minimal.
Depending
yeah.
on how far in you are.
That gap has probably increased quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. But then again, you're talking to the guy that found out he may have alien kids, so.
Nice. Well, then, again, it's kind of similar to bait. You're just, you're the bait. Thank you for your sacrifice to humanity.
Yep.
I come in peace.
Just, you better hope you don't owe them any child tax, you know.
Shut up.
So, Dan, Derek, Jack, where was the last location you were at? What strange location were you at last?
So we just wrapped our second go-round at the Archives of the Afterlife.
Okay.
I don't think that we had even had a chance to talk about the first one.
No, it was before. That was since we've been on,
Yeah.
But we had some pretty cool stuff that went on there, and they have some really cool antiques.
Yeah.
I don't even, I mean, aside from saying artifacts, I don't know what the best way to put that is.
Right.
Pieces, I guess, but they have an entire room dedicated to artifacts that have come from exorcisms and rituals. You know, so a lot of darker history in that room alone. Plenty of stories coming out of that room that people just refuse to step foot in there, and I kind of had my first experience of that the second time. So, great owner Steve Hummel. He takes such good care of the all the pieces that he's accumulated over the years. The building itself might be harboring something, but man, with the artifacts that they've got there, it's just you get energies a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and it can be overwhelming at times. I mean, we've got a lot of just. The first time around, we had a lot of crazy stuff happen. The second time, I know that we've all kind of had personal things happen. Like, we were doing a walkthrough, and Jack just all of a sudden heard a whisper, you know, like out of nowhere.
Like, right, not even 5 minutes in the building, you know, we were just walking back after we brought our gear in. And Steve and Dan were in front of me, Derek's behind me. And it's just a small little corridor leading back into, like, into the funerary room. Oh, I can't put my hands that far in front of me. I'll disappear.
He's doing operation.
Yeah. And just as we were walking by, I just heard this. They were having a conversation, and it just somehow sounded to me like it was just somebody, like it was Derek behind me, or it was one of them just in the middle of the conversation, just this really quick, help me. And it was like whispery, but it didn't sound. It was so strange because it didn't sound like any of them, but it didn't even trigger my, like, oh, I just heard something weird, like, kind of like panic, anxiety, none of that. It would just, it was so subtle, I almost didn't bring it up at all. But then I realized that definitely wasn't anybody.
See, that intrigues me. That intrigues me, the exorcism stuff. That does intrigue me. That kind of stuff. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about, like, Bibles? Or are we talking about, like, maybe exorcist rings?
So there's any number of things in that entire museum. In that specific room that Derek is talking about, there is a 4-foot tall Hope doll. It's called the Hope doll. It is an obviously like a child-sized doll that they believe is harboring some sort of negative energy. In order to keep that whatever inside of the doll, they keep the case closed, and they have 3 crucifixes up on the wall above the doll herself. Those 3 were each used in exorcisms. There's multiple Catholic effigies stacked up on top of the case itself, also tied to exorcisms in some way. All with the idea of keeping whatever's in the doll and not to let it out. And then they have other, like Derek was saying, with the rituals, they have like African pieces, what do you call it?
They're a form of voodoo dolls, essentially.
Yes.
Thank you. So they have several of those. Yeah, they have dolls in there that are believed to harbor negative entities. So it's just everything in that room is negative in some way. So they call it the dark room. And like Derek was alluding to, they typically don't have that as part of the tour route. They leave the door closed, and then they give a warning, and they say, if you want to be exposed to this kind of stuff, we'll show you this room, you know. And sometimes people don't even want to mess with that. So it's an intriguing place, and it's got a big story to tell, and we're just cracking the surface on it.
Yeah. Well, it's quite interesting. Did you hear something a minute ago, Dakota? Did you hear anything?
Literally, when he started talking about it, the temperature in my room just started dropping.
It's really weird because I thought for a split second I thought I heard something. It's something strange. It was weird. It was like a voodoo kind of voice. You know, Mike the Naked Bigfoot. He would come on and he had that kind of, and he would talk about the voodoo. It's that twang that the American voodoos got. Do you get me here?
Yeah,
like that Creole,
Cajun, like the
Cajun,
like Creole accent, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It was just a wee bit of twang. That is very strange. A lot of strange things happens, ladies and gentlemen, especially when these guys come on. My goodness. So what other interesting things did you capture? Anything, any evidence, guys? Do you want to show tonight or anything like that?
I mean, we certainly can send you some stuff if you'd like to share it out. Or I don't have anything pulled up on my end at the moment. But the first time we were there, we actually had experienced just a set of red eyes, and we tried like hell to try to debunk that. And we even had Steve up there. I was on my hands and knees, like trying to figure out where this light's coming from. It was the strangest thing. You could only see it through a video, though. It wasn't like visually there. You could only see it through the video screen. But we tried to figure that one out, and this has actually occurred. I should back up. This occurred in a different room, not the dark Hope doll room. This one occurred in a room that is filled with dolls, wall to wall. And Dan was the first one to bring it up, and I'm like, it's just it's something bouncing off. What it looked like to me was like a router or the red light on a like a Wi-Fi box kind of thing. Like that's what it reminded me of at first. I'm like, there's something. There was nothing there, nothing. And in that same room is when Dan actually got a actual vision. And Dan, I don't know if you want to talk more on that because that was definitely one of your crazier moments there.
Yeah, it's something that I had never experienced before, but it was something that I was glad that I experienced because I've been wanting to have things like that. We were sitting in the doll room, and there's a room in the back of the doll room that was used for seances from previous investigators and different things. So I was just sitting in the room by myself while Derek went down. It was before Jack was stupid enough to follow us and want to come with us. So it was just the two of us at the time, and I was sitting there and was looking towards. They have like a curtain over the doorway going into that what I'll call the seance room, just that back little room. And I had this visual picture of this little blonde-haired girl with pigtails and a blue dress running through that curtain and like skipping through the curtain. And when I kind of processed the vision that I had used our equipment to do a call and response, and I asked if that vision that I just had was related to somebody that was with me in the room. And our K2 meter and our spirit box just started going crazy with responses. So I believe that it was this whatever was in there trying to show herself to me. And I'm sitting in a room surrounded by dolls that have different attachments to them, and just very. I don't want to say a childlike energy, but just a very immature kind of energy that's in this room because of the dolls and everything else. So I don't know how much that played into it, but whatever it was showing itself to me through my vision as a little girl. And following up with the owner, Steve, after that investigation, I had asked if anybody had reported, capturing things about a little girl, and there was definitely some alignment between other investigations and what we were catching with that.
Curiosity, again, this is just got to come out the blue, but you know this with me. I do these kind of things, right? I can't help myself. Did anything touch you that night? Did anything touch one of you that night? An apparition?
Besides Derek?
Besides Derek.
Oh.
It's coming out, Derek. It's all coming out now.
Yeah, Derek touches people a lot when we do investigations, so it's unfortunate.
No, did any of you get touched by any spirit?
I did the first time around. I get touched a lot on investigations.
It was during the walkthrough, actually, if I remember correctly, Dan.
Yeah, I had something that brushed by me in the hallway when we were walking through with Steve at the beginning.
It's weird because I keep seeing somebody's neck getting touched. I don't know what one it is.
Yeah,
I think it was your leg, right, Dan, that you felt
in the hallway was my leg, and then I do remember being touched because when I was sitting I spent a lot of time sitting because I'm fat and lazy. So I was sitting on when I was sitting on the floor in the doll room, I remember something brushing up against the back of me a couple times, including my neck. So it's possible that it's me.
Before the show the night, I was thinking about you. Before the show the night, because I can't obviously I was coming on the night. I seen as if one of you get touched in the neck. So,
yeah, no, like I said, it very well could be me.
Well, that was the first time around. The second time, and I didn't even touch on that dark room. But Dakota, Chris, I just sent you guys via Twitter a few images, videos. If you want to check those out at any point, share them at any point. Feel free. But the second time around, it was Jack and I that were in the coffin room, which we didn't really spend much time in, and we had felt this very cold breeze.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden, he felt something blowing on him.
It lingered for quite a while, and it's not the first time. That's actually the second time of the 3 investigations I've been on this year where something has been very, very close to my face like that. And so we both experienced it. We were in there, and we were getting some responses, and it was just like this cold gust of air that just swept through the room. And I looked at him, and I was like, man, did you feel that? And he's like, yeah. And then after, he went to talk to Dan and Steve about it in the main room, and I stayed there, and it was like a cold wind blowing right here, just like ever so lightly, and it stuck around until he came back, and I was
your chin there, or your neck?
It was like right here, like right along this part of as if somebody put their hand and resting their hand on my face or something, because it was consistent, like just a consistent cool breeze, but 3 fingers maybe. And then
that could be maybe, Chris, what you were seeing.
That might have been it, actually. I didn't even think about it because you were saying neck, and I'm thinking chin. Yeah.
Your neck area, like.
And then the first time, it was a white, wispy vapor that the other investigator I was with at the time from a different team, I believe, she saw it too. And it was just this white, wispy vapor kind of right around the same spot right here. Yeah. But it was a different location.
That's really interesting. That I see how it's all go. Is that a crucifix round its neck? I can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Hope right there.
Yep, that's her.
And just a few of the other pictures are actually just stills of videos, just to kind of get a good idea. Bottom one of those eyes that we were referring to before. Second one was actually taken when Dan had his vision of that young girl. That was in the closet room, and to me it looked like a face. We had no way of. We didn't see it until we were reviewing. So until this last time around, we weren't able to debunk it or even or go back at all.
How old would you say that was? The doll itself, how old would you say it was?
I don't know if we've ever heard a year. Have you?
No.
Did you guys pick up a year?
We never have. I don't know if Steve even knows.
Yeah.
He was basically gifted it, if I remember correctly. So I don't know if there was anything that was traced from her or not.
What's your thoughts, Dakota, on this? Because I don't know what it is, but I feel really drawn to it. I want to touch it, but obviously I can't.
Well, yeah, it's trying to get somebody to take all those crucifixes off.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
So that. Go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say the one thing that was interesting we noticed about halfway through the night, and unfortunately we didn't confirm it. So Steve typically keeps the cabinet locked, and he keeps it shut and locked.
Yeah.
And after about halfway through our investigation, we realized that it was a little bit ajar. The door was ajar.
And when Jack says we realized, I freaked out.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where I had noticed it a bit ago, and I'm thinking like, okay, maybe it was just left open. And then he noticed it, and he was like, wait. And I was like, well, we didn't check when we first came in, but that doesn't make me feel great about it being open like that.
Those red eyes are quite interesting, aren't they? I mean, that's... How far off the floor would you say that was?
About 6 inches. They were not far off.
I'd say 6 inches to a foot. I mean, that's about it.
So it makes you wonder what that was.
And they were moving as well. This, like Derek said, this is a still shot. They were moving around. So we thought maybe there was a mouse or something there. To the point where we turned the lights on in the room to see if there was anything there, and we did not catch anything because there's a bookcase, and like Derek was saying, where we thought maybe it was like a Wi-Fi router or something at first. We thought maybe there's something on the shelf that was giving off that glow. But those eyes or whatever those are was moving underneath the
there was a rocking chair.
That's what it was, a rocking chair with a doll sitting on one of the rocking chairs, and it was moving back and forth. So it was very odd.
That's Dakota. What's your thoughts on this, man? That's damn right creepy.
If that's a mouse, bug bomb the place. If a mouse starts blowing eyes like that,
that's my thought too. When I look at it, is I'm like, yeah, well, there's definitely like the eye glare off of animals, but man, that's bright.
That is awful bright.
That is bright, and that's very close together. Even like if it was a mouse, I feel like you wouldn't be able to see both of the eyes at that angle like that because they'd be offset, right?
Yeah, that's a little too direct.
Mouse.
Yeah, but hey guys, like when we say it could be a mouse, that's a lot less terrifying than a demon serpent that's located.
Don't break my head, man. You won't be able to sleep
tonight. It probably is a demon serpent. A wee one at that, but it's probably a demon serpent.
I don't care if anything's a demonic serpent. I don't care what size it is. I'm going the other way.
I mean, it's just got that kind of creepiness to it. I mean, you can see it's got a tilt, as if it's got its head tilted.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's very
almost like it would be looking up at you from that angle, right?
Yeah.
This location is very odd, and when I say that, I mean like the energies that are within it are so all over the place. Between the dark energies in the back room, there's a room of medical related things from hospitals and different things. There's the doll room, so you have the more childish type energy. You know, downstairs there's caskets, there's war memorabilia downstairs, like pulled off battlefields,
re-embalming tables.
Yeah, I mean, it's so all over the place. But one of the things that did not happen to Derek and I when we were there the first time, that did happen this time. So this time the location has been, I don't want to say uninhabited, but it hasn't been as populated with people over the winter because he winterizes the facility and
he basically treats it as his off season.
Yeah, he doesn't have like a lot of traffic coming through or anything else. So this location, the spirits there had a chance to become dormant. You know, they had little energy to feed off of. You know, things were quiet. We were the first, and actually the second to investigate since he reopened for the year. And I was affected immediately up in the dark energy, in the dark room. I was getting splitting headaches. Just sitting there was very off-putting. But Jack was if you want to speak about your experiences there,
Yeah.
I think that's worth noting because that doesn't happen typically where we go.
Yeah, so I mean, it was closed up for the winter, and you know how buildings are when they've been closed up in the cold, they'll trap the cold in with it. So for a good while, I didn't think much of it. I'm typically kind of like sensitive to the cold anymore. So I, explained it a lot of way like that, but it was like one of those things where the minute we got upstairs specifically, I was just freezing the whole time. I could not get warm. I mean, I had gloves, a toboggan, I had layers, the whole nine. And I kept that multiple times. I was just reviewing some of the footage before we got on, and I was laughing at just a couple times that I had mentioned to them, like, are you guys freezing? Are you guys cold?
I'm cold right now.
And and I just literally to the bone. Like, I haven't been that cold since I was in Boy Scouts and I had hypothermia when I was younger. And I just couldn't explain it. Like, I went home, when I finally got back to my car on my way home and was warmed up, I was like sore from aching from like the cold.
Yeah.
And I told them it was really weird because the whole time we were there after I went up to that second floor, I felt very disengaged. You got something, Dakota?
I think he has. I'm really cold right now, and I mean really cold right now.
It was, and that's what I mentioned to them at one point because I had realized at a certain point, like, man, I want to talk and do stuff, but I feel so, I guess the best way I could put it was unnaturally disinterested.
Yeah.
And it just felt very weird because the first time I went with them after our first investigation, I sent them like an apology text because I was like, hey guys, I know I was like super extra and super energetic, but I was like so excited to finally be doing this. I'm sorry if I was overbearing. So it was very out of character for me, especially. Yeah. And it was something else.
What are you feeling, Dakota? What are you feeling about you?
Yeah, what were you sensing, bud?
I'm not 100% sure anymore these days, man. So much weird shit's going on. I don't know, just I heard voices behind me, and I'm just like, all right, who's here? Fucking Dan again, always bringing shit over.
I know. I'll need to get some anti-ghost spray or something like that.
Well, I do live next door to a Catholic church now, so I was
get
always
me a
wondering
gallon
what would happen.
of water. Splash out of the cell. Oh,
Spirit Febreze. Everybody could use some of that.
There you go.
Get rid of that strange sulfur smell.
Oh no, Dakota, that was me. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you could smell it that far away. So that was my
powerful demon.
Powerful man.
That the eyes before you go into this bit, something popped into my head there, and it was somebody that I knew did a video on it, and I don't think it's a demon. I think it's something else. But I'll tell you what it is after you've showed us this.
I was about to say, this is, from what I'm told, this is the video of the eyes. So
yeah.
Let's go.
Funniest video. Nope.
Peekaboo.
They're much less terrifying when you say peekaboo. We should do that more.
Yeah.
Peekaboo.
That's creepy, man.
Well, you know what I find so interesting is even there, it looks almost like energy coalescing or something like that to me.
Yeah.
Like the way it moves and how it it could just be the camera and the lighting, but
there was really a lack of lighting in that room. That was pitch black that night.
Yeah. Yeah, like they conform. You see how they join?
Yeah.
But you can see how they're moving, and that was what was very odd to us.
Yeah, well, you definitely see the movement.
Huh.
Right. I'm getting, right, and because of the voodoo background, it's because I've watched this guy's videos. Maybe it's his spirit, I don't know, because he sadly passed away in Halloween. Dakota will know what I'm talking about. A fetch.
That sounds very familiar to me too. I've definitely heard that before.
It's like a little creature about a foot high.
Yeah.
They hang about like voodoo stuff and all that, like dolls and stuff like that.
If that's the case, then you might just want to play this next video because we caught this in that dark room where all those things were situated.
Yeah. So before you play it, so Derek and I were back in the dark room later on that same first night, and we thought it was very peculiar the fact that, you know, an SLS camera maps a human figure anywhere it, you know, thinks it sees one.
It tries to, like a chair.
Right. So it was doing that in the doll room. It was picking up dolls saying they were humans, which isn't, you know, not to be expected. But for some reason, the very large Hope doll that is standing in that cabinet, the SLS does not recognize her as a human figure, which is very odd to us. So but
it's also common, according to Steve.
It is. It's something that is common across investigations from people. But Derek and I were in that room trying to get the SLS and trying at different angles to see if we could get it to pick her up. And while we were doing that is when we captured this video. And I wish we would have caught it.
This was the tail end of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wish we would have caught it sooner because I think we were both in disbelief of what we were seeing at first. So we didn't, like, pull out our other camera to record it.
I don't think either of us were believing what we were seeing.
Yeah.
So we were like, wait, is this happening right now? And
it's hard sometimes in those moments when you're there and you're seeing it real time and you have to try to remember to be objective at the same time.
Well, and so our SLS does not record on screen. If it did, it would probably kill the battery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we usually do is we'll take just a cell phone, whatever we have on us, and take a picture, video, whatever, of the screen itself just so we have it.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually watched this thing seemingly crawl out of the mirror that's in the closet. And then we got the tail end of it.
Oh, God. You've just... The fetch, that's where they live, the living mirrors.
As soon as you said that, that's what I'm thinking of, because this thing, I had no other way of putting it aside from something small.
It was so weird because I had a voice in my head and it was Mike's voice and he said fetch. That's what I heard. And I actually messaged Dakota a wee while ago saying that. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, sending me dirty texts off the camera. I see how it is, Chris.
Yeah, because if we would have captured it from the very beginning, this figure, the figure on the SLS camera actually pulled itself out of the mirror leaning against the wall that's sitting on the floor. So this figure pulled itself out of the mirror, climbed up to the wall, mocked us standing on top of the mirror for a little while, and then it climbs up all the way into the corner and then dissipates out.
Yeah.
And so to add to that, the second time we were there, we put that SLS camera in that same spot. I'm just like, I want to figure out what this was. I set it there. Nothing happened.
Yeah, we wanted it to be fake. We did. We were like, we wanted to try to, come up with some solution that would mimic the response that we got the first time, and we could not do it.
They're tricksters. That's what they do, though.
Yeah, they tend to be.
Yeah. I don't actually know that much about them. It's through Mike that I learned about how them.
I don't know if it's Jack's jacket that's making me think this, but it's almost looked like it's trying to do a Thriller dance.
I was about to say that. I was literally just watching that first movement. I was about to be like, yo, MJ. Look at that shit.
I mean, it's freaking down.
It really does look like MJ, doesn't it?
Especially that first bit. Like there, he was doing like the arm wave thing. Like, God damn.
That's creepy.
And then it just went away.
Well, yeah, we didn't get anything the rest of the night right there.
He styled on you guys and he pieced out.
Was that the whisper that you heard? Did it go?
Michael Jackson who's come back as a fetch.
Come on now.
Oh dear God.
Oh, hello.
So this is the Hope doll. This last time we were there, we caught a figure standing on top of her case.
And it was, I think it was a couple of days ago when I was talking to these guys, like, hey, we didn't realize that the case was open. Not when we were taking some of these images. So
That's right.
Is it possible that whatever was in the case is now sitting there mocking us on top of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it could be consequential, but I think it's interesting that it's like almost dead center on the side of the case that is ajar.
Mm-hmm.
Like it
it was.
That is because that is the side of the case that is open.
That's a good point. No, it absolutely is.
That's very interesting. That it's weird how, because you've got the doll in the case. Strange. It's weird because it's drawing me in. It's like it's drawing me in. You get that kind of feeling, Dakota?
I'm full on getting that. It's telling you, "Come, let me out. Let's play."
That's what I feel. It's like, please let me out. That's what I'm getting. It says, let's go and play.
No offense, but no.
I know. Take it home. Have fun with the family.
You can see the crucifixes up on top of the wall there really well in that picture. It's like, no, thank you. And there's a really crazy Ouija board on the left-hand side.
It's like a homemade one or something.
Yeah, it's like what do they call that? Like a talking board more than a Ouija board. But yeah, they're creepy. So this place has a lot going on, and we need to go back. And one of the nice things that Steve has asked us to do is kind of become like an extension of the location where he'll have us back. You know, he just asked for a little bit of donation money just to keep the place afloat and everything. But, you know, he wants us to be part of the telling the story of that location. So we're going to go back for sure. So we'll see what we catch. But I'd definitely like to keep digging into this joint.
Yeah. You know, it would be really interesting the next time we go back if we could hook up with you again, Dakota, doing very, very similar what you did with the tattoo shop with us. I think you were able to draw some things out there and pinpoint a few things which helped us tremendously. What way to go, how to approach some things.
And we could have Chris on too, but he's like 5 hours ahead of us, so we'd have to.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's why it didn't work out last time with Chris.
We get up at 3 a.m. and
we could see. I could probably try something like that. It's just so weird, that's because I feel like I'm in a tunnel and I'm getting drawn. She's drawing me. It's weird how I said she's drawing me. It's, and I think she was the one that blew on Jack.
Yeah, you think so?
Thank God you said on in that sentence.
You got a sick mind. My co-host has got a sick mind.
Have you seen some of the merch I've made for the company, man? Of course I'm twisted.
Oh my God. I think she's got a thing for Jack. So she'll run away the new.
Really?
I mean, who doesn't?
I think she's got a thing for him.
I don't know why.
See, that's
the massive forehead.
Yeah, they know that they fetches can play as adults and tricksters. That's what they are. They're tricksters.
Right.
And they can terrify you. And that's where they live in mirrors. They use mirrors to get about. Mm-hmm. But I also know that they do have red eyes. They do have kind of reddish glowing eyes, which is quite interesting.
That is very interesting.
It was. I'll actually send you the link to the guy's channel where he actually talks about them, and it describes what you've witnessed.
Yeah.
To a T.
Yeah, please do.
Sucks that he's dead, man.
I know.
So helpful right now.
Man,
I know. They're very difficult to get rid of. What I've heard.
They're tricksters.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So do they follow individuals or do they stay with a location? Tell me it's the first one.
It depends. It depends. Because if your first name's Jack, well, they like to follow you home.
Well, we think that we think that something's been following Derek, because weren't we on this podcast when it happened?
Yeah, I
where
believe
his computer shorted out.
Oh yeah,
his power cord sparked, and he cut off the feed when we started talking about something following him.
And that's when the whole Hatman thing started coming about, and we started looking back at some of our more telling evidence, and that face, whatever it was, started to kind of appear in a lot of our images.
Yeah, he'll do that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I don't mention his name. I never mention his name.
You say you're interested in exorcism stuff, but I tell you some of my stories, you start wetting yourself, man.
Yeah.
Think about it.
I know. I mean, that fetch, I can, they can follow you. I do know that. They can follow you home if they take an interest in you. You don't have any mirrors, do you, Derek, in your house?
Yeah, lots.
Do you have
now.
any in the room that you're in the now?
Just think if you can.
No.
They can also use computer screens as
Yeah, I mean
mirrors.
that probably does the same thing, right?
Yeah, anything with reflective surface.
Yeah, I have actually quite a few mirrors in my new house, and my daughter has actually, been talking to a mirror friend recently. So there's that.
It's all lining up, brother.
Oh God.
Well, we're set, guys. We don't have to travel anymore. We just go to Derek's house every weekend.
That is so crazy, because that guy that I talk about that did a line of videos on this. He talked about the little girls in the household had got an imaginary friend that came out in the mirror, and that's what it was. It was a fetch.
That's what
I would definitely be interested to see more about that.
Yeah.
Derek, smash all your mirrors immediately.
It might behoove you to learn more about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know one thing how to get rid of something like that. Dakota, this is your line.
Dude, it's in the name. Tricksters. They're hard as fuck to get rid of.
Yeah. I know. I mean,
basically, you got to outsmart them.
Looks like you've got somebody in your house. It looks like you have to outsmart it. I think there's ways to trick them to get into a mirror, and then if you cover the mirror up and take it somewhere, like give it as a present to Jack or Dan. See, here I've got you a mirror present there. But
what is it? Is it like one of those things where you have to solve their riddle, and then once you solve their riddle, they go away?
Yeah, then I'm screwed if that's the case.
Yeah, because I was going to say, we are not smart enough for that.
There is a way to capture them. I have heard there is a way. Is that actually Mike? He actually tells you how to do it in the video, how to capture them. And once you capture them, you can imprison them. And once you imprison them, you have to do something to that mirror. I don't know what you do. I don't think you smash it, because if you smash it, it gets out again. So I'll send you the video. Yeah, I'll send you the video, and it's actually quite scary. So, what about any other location? You got into any new locations?
So before that, we actually had first hooked up with Jack at the Carnegie Library. And we had some pretty cool things happen there. That was also a follow-up. That was another one. We had helped Oakmont Paranormal Society with a public hunt. That one was very intriguing. We got some lights, some shadows. We found out that Jack is a very good singer.
Thank you.
But that I can grab some images and stuff from that. But there was one moment where, in the basement, I feel like we almost completely flipped the script for what the story was.
That was the coolest thing.
I thought that was incredible.
Do we have the footage from that flashlight communication? Do we have it up?
I'd like to see that.
We should, yeah. Let me see if I can.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I can grab it.
It's all good. That's what I'm here for.
Man, Chris and Dakota, I wish I had known you guys a little sooner. I would love to talk to you guys about a specific dream experience. Are you both mediums, or can you give me a little background? I'm sorry, I'm not super familiar. It's my first time meeting you guys.
Dakota, you go first, my friend.
Let's just say there's a certain nickname I'm known as, and I live up to it, even though I'm not trying. I try to walk away from it some days. Like, God. Well, let's just say there's a reason why I'm known as the specialist of the strange.
Okay. I like that. That's yes, I see that. Cool. I get it now. I like it.
I've got the ability to see them and hear them, but I don't practice it. Only now and again. Right. So.
Yeah. No. I mean, thank you. I was just curious.
I don't as with Jack. I feel something around Jack. It's weird. You're the only one in that room, aren't you, Jack? Aye.
Yeah, I have. I do have 2 guinea pigs, and they're being.
And that could be the guinea pigs. It could be.
Yeah.
I don't hear that. I just feel a presence. That's all. It's a presence I feel.
Something gonna come up and start rubbing your neck.
No, it'll happen tonight when he goes to his bed.
And they're just gonna show up behind me and style on me like they did. And just start MJ dancing behind me.
It's weird. It's like when you go to these places, it's something imprints on you and it leaves that mark. It's like Dan went to that place. I could see it, but it was when it was like in the 1920s. It was made with the doorway and the man standing with the apron on and stuff like that. It was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's funny you say that, because I had an experience where I dreamt about somewhere before I had went there and had a very significant thing happen with that. But that's too much for now. But I would love to talk to you guys about that experience at sometime at a later date, because I'd love to hear if you guys pick up anything off of the story alone. We
did do a lot of the kind of the astral traveling and stuff like that. The kind of out of body kind of stuff and that. Yeah,
I think I definitely have been doing that for my whole life, and I just don't know how to control it. But
I still don't know what to do. I go to different places all the time.
And every time I try to help him, he don't shut up and listen.
I know. But I get to go to interesting and unusual places, not just on this earth. You know?
I always end up in some kind of terrible apocalypse scenario where I'm trying to survive or help other people survive. But that could just be my anxiety. So
it might be a previous life. You might be experiencing something. It might be look into the meanings of that.
Right.
Like I said, it's the 2020s. You can't ever be sure about this shit anymore.
Yeah.
Weather balloons that are actually aliens, but not really aliens, but they're weather balloons. But
all right. Here's the basement.
Is that kegs of beer?
No, I wish.
Body armor and Sprite. It's just in a Smirnoff case.
There's a Sprite in yours.
This is in the basement of the Carnegie Music Hall. Carnegie Music Hall / library in Homestead, Pennsylvania. There's sound, but I don't know why it's not playing.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, if you want to go into the story at all there, but we that spirit, that paralight, it did not go off at all at any other point of the night. It was only here in this basement that they were using that. And you could see that thing flicker as we were asking questions.
Yeah, that light is very intriguing to me because you can do anything with that.
Pin. If you took my pin, light up the flashlight, please. Can I have my pin back?
You might never see that pin. Whoever's playing with the light, thank you. How about turning that off so we can ask you again?
Thank you.
Turn it all the way off for me, please.
So if this is in Franklin.
All the way off. Thank you. Amazing job.
He just smiled and hoping somebody else.
It was somebody else.
Michael's back.
Turn that light on.
Oh.
When the woman said, "Give me her pin back," what did she mean? Did she lose her pin or something like that?
Yeah. So, do you want to take it, Dan?
Yeah, that's fine. So, part of our involvement with that was to have groups of the public come through, and we were set up in a location along the tour route, and then they would spend probably 20 minutes with us, do a small investigation, and then they would move to the next area. This one girl that had joined us on one of the groups had a bag around her shoulder. It was like a fabric satchel kind of thing, like hanging on the side of her, and it had a pin clipped on the front of it that she said had been on there for years. And while we were doing the investigation, when her group was there, she felt something forcefully pull on her bag, and her pin was missing. So she didn't realize the pin was missing until she went to another area and actually circled back with her mother. She came back where we were and said, "Do you remember when I told you that I felt something pull on my bag?" And she said, "Whatever it was took my pin." And she's like, "I'm freaking out." So we were asking there's a resident spirit, so to speak, in this area, named Franklin, that we were trying to see if he was the individual that grabbed her pin and pulled it off. So we think that it was not him that pulled it off. It was something else. But that's what she was referencing. It was her Pittsburghese accent. Sounds like a pen, but it was a pin.
It was so where we found the pin was upstairs in the theater, and they had sat in the first row, and the pin was found basically at the foot of the second row on the floor. So I said, well, it could be that it got pulled off there, but she also could have sat with it like between the seats on the armrest, and when she went to get up, she just got up and it yanked it off and it fell there. But we just don't know for sure. So in my eyes, I write that off as like, well, probably went to get up from the seat and something happened to it then, but who knows?
Yeah. It's quite interesting how the light came on though when you asked that.
Yeah, and that's a very short clip. It was a very long conversation that we had.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where to pinpoint some of those, but there were definitely it was a long conversation. I think we were down there for about 45 minutes or so with things happening. But Dan mentioned Franklin. I believe the story goes that the guy's name was Frank, and he's very gruff, and he doesn't really like talking to people. He doesn't like people in his area. And I don't remember, Dan, was it you or Jack who started getting responses whenever we started using the more formal Franklin rather than Frank? And that's where we started to kind of turn that story where it was that he actually liked people being around.
Yeah, people had to figure out what name to call him was the only difference. I mean, seriously, he just only responded to being called a certain name.
Yeah, it was like instant turnaround too, because we had been responding, talking to him as Frank, and then I think I remember at one point I said, is Frank too formal? Would you prefer if I call you Franklin? Is that better? And that was when, after that, I think, is when everything started kind of popping off. And we had, like I said, at least 15, 20 minutes straight of just intelligent on-off, yes, no. I think we found out he had like 2 kids. Was it 2 kids? 2 or 3 kids?
2 kids. He owned. It wasn't even farmland. It was a barn, I believe.
Yeah, it was a barn, right? And he said he didn't mind company, as long as people were respectful. Essentially, was by the end of it. So that was really, really cool.
This is a very interesting one, what we got here. This is very interesting.
So here we actually left just a stationary camera, one of our trail cams in this area, as we kind of moved on, like Dan was saying, how we kind of move from spot to spot. when we were here, it's a big pool area, a lot of echoes, so we couldn't really do too much with the audio on this. We didn't think that we got a whole lot. However, upon reviewing, and we sent this to them as well, no one could really figure out what this light was. I also sent you guys a comparison clip. So there were two clips. One when we were basically setting it up so you can kind of see in the comparison there's no light. In this one, on that far back wall, if you play it and see, there's that light against the wall. I don't want to say it's paranormal. I just want to say it's unexplained. We could not pinpoint for the life of us figure out what this was.
I love how it almost looks like it tucks into the wall at the end.
And I was just about to say,
I didn't even catch that before, but watching
one of the odd things that gets me with this is there's a swimming pool right in front of this. Those lines going across, that's all water. So that light that's on the wall does not reflect onto the water surface.
I was just about to say, that is weird. And
that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
It's weird.
Oh. That was weird because you can see the ripples in the water, you can see the light above, but you can't see that disappear.
Right.
Yeah, and the water's fairly still, so it's like a mirror sheen,
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, I was going to say the spot on the wall should be visible.
Right.
Clearly.
Huh.
You can clearly see the other two lights that are above that door reflecting, and there's nothing there.
That's just freaky, that one. But there should be a reflection of the water if there was another light source, because all the other light sources have got a reflection. Just try to look around a bit to see if I notice anything elsewhere that's playing.
Well, so Dakota, I sent you another clip. The next one I sent was basically a comparison. We were like looking at them side by side, really, to see what was going on there, and there's nothing that even remotely resembles another light.
It's like it goes into the wall. It's like it just goes into the wall and dissipates.
Yeah. And if it was something like a flashlight from the other side of the room, you'd be able to tell.
Exactly.
Ooh. What was that?
Dust.
There were people walking through, so we couldn't really account for anything else odd like that.
Very heavy traffic.
Yeah, that was just to show that the whole hour, almost 2 hours that we were in that pool area, that light was not there at all the entire time, except for that, 10 seconds that it was there?
Yep, yeah, that was about it.
It's just a very odd occurrence.
That's a weird one. I can't think of anything for that one.
Nope, I couldn't. I mean, there was really no rhyme or reason to it. There was no explanation there. In the past, a man had died in the pool, but that's on the opposite side. We did photograph a handprint of where the man had died beforehand, but that was at our first investigation there. This was our second, and this was the only oddity in that pool area was that light.
I like that with the light. I'm going to watch that after an hour again, because there should be a reflection. There should be.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't see it anywhere in that pool, that light reflecting off that water. That was the first thing that stood out to me, and it's very odd.
So the main reason I sent this to you is that still on the bottom left is when Jack started singing. As he was singing, because the acoustics were perfect there.
Yeah, they were great.
I personally started seeing just shadows moving around. So with one of our cameras, I just kind of angled it towards that area. This was the only thing that I was able to capture remotely close to the shadows that I was seeing. So I don't know what this was, but I did a few comparisons. This was a video still. That whatever that area is, I had to highlight it. I hate doing it, but I had to, just so you could kind of see the area. We had the laser grid there.
Yeah.
And there's that black spot. It was not there at any other point in the videos.
It's like somebody standing at the doorway.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Definitely just looks like somebody was checking out to see what you were doing. That's about it.
Well, that was my idea, too. You know, I thought it was like, if there is anyone sticking around like that, well, they're in a theater. They're probably in the show. Yeah. You know, so I just was like, pull out some random musical numbers, just see what happens.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
It just shows you,
Yeah, well, I figure like more organic, more human-minded approaches to things like that in locations like these where it seems to be people activity, let's say. It seems to me to make more sense. You're trying to evoke a response by basically recreating the environment they're expecting, maybe, is my thought. So I was trying to think about it like that when we went into the theater.
See where the red light is? Is that another set of chairs there?
Yeah, the red light is up in the balcony area. That's like the exit door going out of the balcony area.
It's as if there's somebody else sitting right next to it. Do you see them? The shape of the head.
A little bit. I see that.
You can see
it does kind of look like something's there.
Mm-hmm. That little rounded shape in the left window.
Yeah, just above the door.
Mm-hmm.
Over a wee bit. It's as if you can see the dots at the other side, the green laser dots going along, but then it comes along and stops.
Yeah.
It's outline the other person. So I think you had two people maybe watching you that night.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of movement you can see in that music hall while you're up there with the lights out. I mean, you can see shadows all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And as everybody on listening knows, it's very difficult to catch them on camera. Derek seems to have a knack for that. He's really good.
Yes, he's a magnet.
He really is. I mean, he's caught some really cool still frames of things during our investigation.
Yeah.
That thank God he did, because if it wasn't for him, like just turning and snapping the camera at that specific moment, we wouldn't have some of our better stuff. But it's difficult to say the least to catch that stuff.
I must admit, that is a good catch. It is a really good catch. The two entities there. That light is amazing. What's your thoughts on that, Dakota? Because I can't explain that. That's just blowing me away.
Honestly, like Jack was saying, I don't really get anything too out of the ordinary with it. If anything, I kind of get the impression it's somebody just checking on the pool to make sure there's nobody there when they're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Somebody died there, That tends
to
stick to
that
people.
entire basement area has been said to just have people wandering around. I mean, that's the same reason that I turned the camera like I did in the auditorium, just because they supposedly have people just kind of popping in and out, watching, making sure that everybody is safe and okay, and not causing any mischief or anything. So those are some of the stories.
Because water has energy in it, doesn't it? I mean, spirits could take the energy for the water.
Mm-hmm. In theory.
In theory, yeah.
Well, there's plenty of long-standing history of water and spiritual affiliation, multiple cultures, multiple religions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's not just that. It's that with the torch turning on, and that with the red eyes. That's kind of shocked me, that one, because I've never really ever witnessed that. And then it makes you wonder what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Is it one of the little things? Is it one of the fetches? Which it probably is one of the wee fetches with the red eyes, because that's what they've got. I think it's kind of orangey red eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they see at night, because they've obviously got night vision or
Yeah.
whatever. And it makes you wonder, is there anything ever followed you home? I mean, has anything ever followed you home? Jack, what about you? Does anything ever follow you home?
We already know about Derek.
We know about Derek. Like, he's got Satan and all his imps on about him. Derek, Jack, what about you?
Yeah, no, good Lord, I hope not. I'm only 3 deep, so, you know, if I'm already taking them on that quick, I'm screwed. But I will say there is a thing I've had happen since I was a teenager, whereas I've had a recurring, I guess, night terror, and there's always this kind of woman stalking me through a house or something like that. And she's all, it's like the feeling of impending doom. I don't know how to explain it.
Is she a young woman or an older woman? See, this could make a difference.
See, to me, it's always, she's about middle age. She's like around my age. I'm 32. But she's been showing up since I was like a teenager. And she's always just like...
Did she actually ever catch you? No?
Well, interestingly enough, I don't want to get into it because it's very long, but tied into that dream I was telling you about earlier, where there's been a few times where it has been, she's like stalking me, and if she does reach me, most of the time, if I don't startle awake and am terrified, there's at least one instance where she just talked to me, and we had a very, very interesting, I guess, interaction and conversation. But yeah, I don't know. I've had instances of sleep paralysis, things like that, which can be written off, sure, but I don't know. It's just lots of strange things. The dream I had about the last dream I had about this woman, it did end well, but it ended up being a kind of like another premonition dream where I dreamt about a location before I went there, years ahead of time. So that was really interesting. So I don't know what it is, what she is, what the connection is, if there is anything to it at all, but I believe there's something. I don't know what it is, but probably.
It might be a warning, and then again, it might mean something totally different. It might mean something totally different. I would need to sit down and talk to you for a wee while, actually. Yeah,
no, as I said, I'd like to talk to you guys about that whole thing, because it was very interesting. Very interesting.
But what will happen now that you've met Dan and Derek?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because they got a taste of it, because I told them right away when I realized it. So
I hope there's only one fence, or whatever it's called, fetch. There we go. And I'm mispronouncing my words there. You better hope there's only one of them, because I hear if there's 3 or 4, it can be quite
fetching.
That's weird. That did Andy's mic go weird there? Did Andy's mic go weird there when I said that?
What's that?
Did you not hear that there? Did you?
You know when you're just barely plugging in like an electric guitar and you have that?
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah.
I was just hearing that.
The hum.
Yeah, if that's going right now.
Derek.
Jack, you have a moving blanket behind you.
What did you do?
Yeah, I did it again.
She's just pulling out food for the piggies. I don't think it would sound like that. It's like a bag. No, they heard something weird. You're good. Be safe. I love you.
Aww.
Oh. I know we're great radio hosts, but you don't need to tell us that, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are pretty great, you know. And you know, you probably don't hear it enough. goddammit.
That's true.
I know. So, where are you going anywhere next week or anywhere else? Where's the next location? Where are you going back to?
Let's see, what is coming up next?
Our next investigation is at the elementary school.
Oh, the school, right.
Well, so Blennerhassett Hotel, we're doing a convention, and we're also helping them out with their public investigation after that.
Yeah, but I'm not counting that one. I'm saying our next, solo investigations at the elementary school.
Yeah, okay. That's post-town.
Do you ever do like any experiments with like just say one person, leave them in a room themselves for like an hour with no lights, no equipment, nothing, just leave them there?
Yeah.
Don't torture Jack like that.
I got you too.
Technically that. Yeah, I mean, in my couple experiences, yeah, we do that because I did that at the one before that, or before Afterlife. We did that at Afterlife at one point. You guys went downstairs, and I just stayed in there, kind of by myself, and I guess I elect to do that a lot. Don't know why, but I'm a masochist, I guess.
Can anybody hear that? Is anybody get kids? Is somebody get kids?
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
That might be me.
For a second there, I put
nearby, and they do have children.
Coming for you there, Jack.
Yeah.
Not everything is supernatural, Chris. Calm down. Look, come in, yeah.
It's fairly.
It's Michael Jackson
out there screaming.
Shrunk.
I hope.
You know. Oh dear God. You know. So where can all the people that listen to this podcast and people that watch this, where can they all find your information? Go on. This is your plug-in time now. Plug it.
Okay, so we are on all of the major social media platforms. Iron City Paranormal on Instagram is our most, what I would say, up to date. That's where we post most often. As we're going through the evidence, we use that outlet to share things that are being found in the evidence as we go through, and then we look for people in the community to watch the videos, listen to the sounds, and share their thoughts so that we can kind of do findings by community more or less, rather than just having us listen to it because we're a little biased. So that's probably the best is Instagram, Iron City Paranormal. We're also on Facebook, posting there probably twice a week, probably as much as on Instagram, but Instagram's usually first and foremost. We also have a website, IronCityParanormal.com, that is undergoing a redesign at the moment. You can still get on there and see our content. Derek does an incredible job. He will investigate, or before we do the investigation, he'll do a history write-up of the location itself. And then after we do the investigation, he'll do sometimes up to 35, 40 pages on Word of a write-up that I have to read and proofread and make sure he knows how to spell words. But there's a lot of good content on our website as well. We share everything. We share our raw files, not just what we capture. So again, we try to do it by community input rather than just with us looking at it.
I've just signed on to your Iron City Paranormal website now. I see you've got all your pictures there, so I'm going to look at them after, because the red eye ones intrigue me. It's like a wee creature just looking up at you, thinking, which one will I follow home? The one with the hat, the one that's called Jack, or Jan,
or the big boy?
I think I'll have Derek tonight.
Join the club. I mean,
at least you're desirable.
It's one way to look at it.
Aye,
you are wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I'll send you the videos, how that guy get rid of them. But as Dakota says, there's tricksters. I mean, there could be two of them nibbling away at Derek's cables behind the desk as we speak, sitting here.
I'm surprised he's managed to last this long.
I know, and it's been really good having you guys, and we'll have to get you back again sometime.
Yeah, we'd love it.
Yeah, as we said before, anytime. We enjoy getting on and talking with you guys for sure.
I did send you a few more things just for you to maybe look at. It was our first experience with some poltergeist activity, catching a bunch of loud bangs, a shadow figure, things like that at an old church. So maybe we could touch on that the next time we get together, see what kind of feedback you guys have on something like that.
Right, I'll have a look at that. Thank you very much. I mean, we need to get Jack. We'll need to get a talk with you sometime, more in-depth talk, to see about your dreams, because there's just something there. I don't know what it is. I would need to sit down and just, I don't know. Did what I did when you were at that place when I could see that man at the doorway and stuff like that. Oh, it's a dog.
It's like that, Jesse.
That's our
That's
asshole.
no mine. It's no mine. Mine's down the stairs lying in front of the load burner. But guys, honestly, we'll talk to you behind the scenes. But guys, thank you for watching tonight. Dakota, do you have any announcements or anything?
No, not yet.
Nothing.
You know, quit trying to squeeze information out of me when it's not ready, Chris.
Terrible. But anyway, guys, as we say, we're Molten, we're Bonkers, and we'll see you all guys next week. And I hope you all have a wonderful week. Hopefully I'm still here tomorrow after the Gale Force wins. So, catch you all later. And thanks, Jack, Derek, and Dan for coming on.
Thanks, everyone, for joining in.
Bye-bye.